What if you could plug in to some of Secret's privacy tooling on another chain? That's what privacy as a service is and what Secret Network is bringing to the table. So it's cross-chain access to core privacy functions with the ease of plug and play. And the fact is 99% of all chains are public by default. That's the reality of the blockchain landscape right now. Everything is transparent and broadcast in full volume to the world. Maybe it works for some apps and for some use cases, but it's kind of like a boombox on your shoulder. If you've seen those or remember those, you're blasting the music from your shoulder and everyone knows it. Everyone knows what you're listening to. And okay, maybe that works. It might work in some context, but the reality is just not appropriate for every use case or every context. Sometimes you need a little more subtlety, a little privacy, and that's what headphones are for. Plug them in, pop them in, enjoy the benefits of the application, the use case, but a user doesn't need to broadcast that activity to the world all of the time. There's a little picture of privacy as a service. So maybe you're just in the ideation stage for your dApp right now. You've got a cool idea and haven't done anything with it yet. Or maybe you're in the early to mid stages of building and development. You maybe even have a team helping you. Or it's possible that your product is live in the world, but you could benefit from some privacy tooling. And so in any of those stages of building, development, privacy as a service might be interesting to you. And in the next couple of minutes, I want to show you what this privacy tooling could be able to do for you, for your app, for your idea, how you can tap into it with a simple API. And these applications solve some big problems and open up pretty creative use cases. First up is RNG, random number generation. Almost any application you can imagine needs random number generation. Encryption algorithms, they rely on random number generators to generate keys, salts, other variables. Applications that use two-factor authentication or one-time passwords, they may well be using RNG to generate those unique codes. In gaming, RNG is critical for generating environments, computer player behavior, shuffling cards, games of chance. You want that to be truly random, otherwise you're playing with a loaded die, a deck that isn't fair. So it's essential that the logic used to generate the random number is not publicly visible, as it could potentially be on a public by default chain. Otherwise, imagine this, a malicious actor could potentially figure out that random number ahead of time, and then bad things happen. And maybe they have an unfair advantage in a game that they monetize. Worst case, they could gain unauthorized access to something that causes loss of funds or a major hack. With blockchain applications, this problem is sometimes handled by moving RNG off-chain to a centralized provider, but that's not a great solution because now we're not decentralized anymore, or at least there's a centralized point in the application, and then we've got to trust the off-chain provider to not act maliciously or to not get compromised somehow. But Secret's privacy as a service solves this by providing applications with a decentralized and private source of randomness. The way to work, a dApp on, say, Ethereum or somewhere in the cosmos could send a request for a random number to the RNG smart contract on Secret via this API. And then the RNG contract securely generates that random number, sends it back to the public blockchain. That's RNG. A second piece of privacy tooling that devs can now have access to via privacy as a service is private voting. Could you imagine if your voting history was public and then also tied to your financial transaction history? That's not good. And yet that is the state of most on-chain voting systems right now. Not ideal, to say the least. Public voting adds a whole layer of social pressure up front. You might worry more about retaliation or what people think about your vote than you do about actually voting for what you feel is right. And that's not democratic. Private voting changes that. Secret Networks privacy as a service can allow people to receive encrypted votes from the DAO chain, can decrypt them, count the votes on Secret, and then send vote totals back to the native chain. So that's huge. Private voting enabled by privacy as a service. A third piece of privacy tooling here is self-custody made easier through walletless solutions. Do you remember setting up your first wallet when you first got into crypto? There's a chance it was easy for you, but we could all acknowledge it is not such an easy thing for everybody, especially compared to just downloading an app like Venmo. But what if a self-custodied wallet was as easy as logging into social media? What if getting set up on a DEX was as easy as making an account on a centralized exchange? Wallet management can and must be made simpler for the next billion Web3 users. Here's how this could work. If you could securely store a wallet's keys in a secret smart contract, and then the user is just using familiar access methods like a username and PaaS to authenticate their wallet and connect with an application. What if users could potentially even fund the wallet using traditional Web2 payment methods? So much lower barrier to entry there. And these are the ideas behind Walletless. This process could be used to create and operate wallets on blockchains outside of Secret. That's where privacy as a service comes in. So imagine if an Ethereum app wanted to be built as a walletless application. They tap this API, they make use of a secret smart contract to manage the wallet, which will, in all of this, is serving to create greater access for users who maybe aren't comfortable setting up a MetaMask. Finally, the fourth piece of privacy tooling enabled by privacy as a service that we'll take a look at here is threshold wallets. Just think of use cases that require joint custody of funds, or where you would want multiple users to sign off on funds moving or transacting. Threshold wallets enhance the security of digital assets in the sense that they require a certain number of digital signatures to approve a transaction. This is somewhat synonymous with the idea of a multisig, except threshold wallets would be quicker and easier because they're just making one signature instead of multiple signatures. So these threshold wallets provide an added layer of security as they reduce the risk of any one key holder being a bad actor, trying to make off with funds, or simply making a mistake that results in loss of funds, right? All of that is bad, especially for companies and organizations that are trying to securely manage customer funds. Threshold wallets are a very, very good idea, a best practice for companies in that scenario that are managing, say, millions or billions of dollars of customer funds. But by requiring multiple approvals for these transactions, that is protecting users against theft, fraud, human error. And what Secret offers here is removing the need to trust a centralized entity when using threshold wallet. Here's how this would play out. A secret smart contract stores one of the threshold wallet's keys and enforces security parameters set by the user. So even if the user's personal key is compromised by an attacker, their access will be limited by the security policies that have been inputted into that smart contract. So this privacy as a service solution is currently being developed on Secret by a couple of different teams. But again, this can be leveraged on virtually any blockchain. So those are just a few of the tools that you could tap for your idea, for your early to middle stage development project, or for your already launched project, right? What could you do with these tools? How can privacy as a service make your idea more sticky for users and more secure for everyone? Privacy matters. Security and safety for users is only possible if there's a level of privacy there. And privacy as a service through Secret Network could be just the ticket for you, for your big idea to make that happen.